Yeah, so I just wrapped up an interview with Jay Venera over in Santa Monica, California. Here in Washington, D.C., I'm going to head over and get some stuff from Trader Joe's. My wife is not feeling good. Her tummy's upset. So set her up with a couple of tablets and off I go on foot. So driving, Lynn's half paralyzed from a stroke. So she doesn't do well with walking all over the Trader Joe's. It's only about 6 blocks from 20th Street that I'm coming up on now. 21st Street's where I live. You can't really see it from here. You can see a little bit of my chimney. Anyway, down the alley. Who cares? I had a guy last night. I don't know, got a few more joining. That's nice. Simona's stories, Lee, and Brian. Okay. I do these little films, and somebody actually that I don't even subscribe to, I don't think that subscribes to me. Or maybe he does. I don't know. Hopefully. Anyway, uh, yeah, it did me the service of telling me how sad my life seems to be, just walking along alone through the streets of DC. I'm never alone. It's all y'all and everybody who happens to fall into the lens of the passing show, for that matter. So I don't know. I just know how it seems to me, and I could be wrong. I can learn from other people's perspective, and that's what Jay Venera and I were doing. We were getting her perspective on life. I was sharing mine. But, do you know this? I was talking to her a good bit. And it's just really nice. It's really great. I'm going to have Jessica Alpha on tomorrow, and we're going to learn about her. I was looking at one of the Jay Benner's articles too, and got her to talk about that a bit. Had a lot to do with these dating apps, right? People not, and who does it serve? When these dating apps are sort of like giving you feedback and trying to get you to do more. There's always a profit motive involved, and everything's commoditized. And we are Homo economicus, there's no doubt. Every cent spent is a vote for the kind of world we are co-creating. I'll say again, because I say it a lot. Neighbor in Bermuda House Apartments there. Heading in. I'm going to go back past my friend Jack's house. Hopefully he's in the air conditioning because it's darn hot out here. I was walking back from the Atlantis last night. I thought I was going to die, literally. I was not feeling great. I think I was in heat exhaustion. It'd been air conditioned pretty well at the Atlantis when I arrived, but it started really heating up because it was packed. I think it was sold out. It only holds about 450 people, but they're all packed in there and listening to Better Off Dead, jamming. It was fun. I put up a clip on Substack of the scene, Viola Lee Blues and the greatest story ever told. And yeah, so music, art, literature, life. Come to DC, hang out, or just hang out with me on Substack. That's fine too. Anybody commenting, talking about how sad my life must be that I do this? I think that's so funny. But it was also kind of nice. I really do appreciate anybody giving me feedback. You can send me direct messages and stuff. But if you send me a direct message and say, for example, where are you from? Clearly you're not reading. And don't do that. That's an opportunity for me to both report your profile and block you for spamming. Because honestly, this is not a place to sit there and try to scam people. And I know that's what those are, right? Somebody says, they actually engage with your content. Great. But they're not time wasters at the best, scammers at the worst, and maybe even worse than that. So blocking reporting first, then blocking is my chosen strategy for dealing with that kind of thing. So we are between forever. think we're between 19th and 20th, 19th and 18th now, T Street. And that should be coming up on a little bar and L'Oreal Plaza. L'Oreal Plaza should be famous because it's a place everybody hangs out practically. I don't go there very often, but once in a while, taking Lynn there. Been there before when one of my girlfriends, very briefly, who lived over on Swan Street. I think that was the first time I experienced L'Oreal Plaza. We decided to meet there. It was all right. It's Larry's Lounge. Yeah, that's it. Oh, you have a stained glass there of a rainbow martini glass. I like that. You know, I'm an ally. I marched in the Pride of America Fife and Drum Corps parade today. Not today, I mean, this past month. It was a lot of fun. So many people, so full of enthusiasm. And you can't really step on that. Once you let everybody participate in all their rich diversity, there's no way that any type of, you know, movement will staunch that. We'll always be out here. We'll always be loud. I do think the word pride is somewhat dicey because I think pride can always be replaced with gratitude. I think gratitude is the right attitude. Not to be too trite about it, but there you go. There's a robin. Hello, robin. Love birds. Oh, somebody else too. Somebody with a song. I don't think that was a robin. It's, not sure what it is. Could have been a mockingbird. I don't know. My father used to have this dog named Bon, which actually means from in German, right? But it was a German Shepherd. It sounded German to him, so he just called it Bon, B-O-N, from. He didn't really know German, right? That's how the Bon came into his life. Anyway, what was I going to say about Bon? Oh, yeah, the mockingbird story. Well, they lived up on the Monrovia Road, and this big yard, about 5 acres, sliced off of the property of my great grandfather. Who had his house, my great grandmother called Rosemont. Now it's called Dade Hall, apparently. Not sure why. But anyway, the house, big yard in the front, big yard in the back. This mockingbird learned to whistle for the dog and would fly into the front yard, whistle for the dog. The dog would come tearing around looking for whoever whistled for it. The mockingbird would fly into the backyard, whistle for the dog, and just mess with the dog all day, running from one side to the other. Vaughn also had a rabbit story. Father was out with them and saw Vaughn and scared up a rabbit. And he was chasing that rabbit down, laid flat out. And up there, you have a lot of split rail fences to keep the cattle from coming over into your yard because there's a big field behind full of pasture for the dairy cows, or I don't know, maybe they raised beef cattle too, but I think it was mainly dairy. Really should fact check myself on that. Well, deal was, Vaughn had that nose to the rabbit's tail. You know, get that rabbit. Was not paying attention to the upcoming fence, and the rabbit scooted through the fence. There's this tremendous sound of impact as the dog went. He hit the rails. Well, poor Vaughn. Didn't really do much damage to fence or Vaughn long run, but must have knocked the wind out of the poor dog. At the same time that happened, back somewhere in the 1940s, right after the war, Aunt Wilma had a Chihuahua named General MacArthur. General MacArthur was a mean little dog. I think it pester old Vaughn and, get up to some trouble here and there. Vaughn would get tired of the dog pestering him, just pick him up and sling him and it wore a little harness, so that made it easy. That harness ended up doing some damage, though, in some ways, because the dog, Joe MacArthur, liked to chase squirrels, and he caught up with one. And in the tangle of dog and squirrel, that squirrel got caught up in little Joe MacArthur's harness and carried him up a tree. Well, Joe MacArthur apparently fell out of the tree, knocked the wind out of him, and was unconscious. My grandfather brought out some smelling salts to bring him back around. Dog got up, staggered a few steps, fainted again, dead away. Anyway, made a good story. Always liked that story. It is what it is. We are what we are. I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to get on this side of the street. It looks like I got a crossing here. It's coming through. Now he's turning. Silent vehicle. You can just hear the wheels. Electric Tesla. Can get it to make all kinds of noises, apparently. A friend of mine had one. I think he sold it. Didn't last. Anyway, I was in the Freedom Market last night. I think a little bit of the passing show was filmed there, actually. I ended up dropping some things and having a hard time getting back up. But, I did. It is what it is. I think that's really funny. Too, and fun. It's fun for me to document the passing show because who, what, when, and where is what it's all about here. It's raw journalism. You can see from my angle what's happening. Pretty well hydrated here, so should be able to make it to Trader Joe's and back without much trouble. See some construction going on here. There's wall being held up, and they're doing work. I expect. I've been like this for a while. I have no idea if they ran out of money or what happened. But the wall isn't falling yet. The bracing on it. I like taking in who, what, when, and where. Very much. It's 16th Street. That's the White House down there. I don't know if you can see it, but way down at the end of the street, you see the White House. Yes, I can. Oh. See, there's nothing about it. It is not warm. It's a Jaguar E-Pace. Interesting vehicle. I always like surveying the vehicles. Then there's the other feature of these short, pointless films, as I once called them, is that these are going to give you a little bit of primary documentation of my perspective, as well as anything, all the metadata. It's being grabbed up into the sensor of the lens and the audio, for that matter, too. And it can be used. It's data that can be used. Oh, well, I'm really glad of my opportunity to interview my new friend, Julia J. Venera. It's her pen name on Substack goes. An hour and 21 minutes, just about. I had a little bit of technical difficulty at the beginning because for some reason Substack started delivering some yoga lesson to me and I didn't want. But, I got that done. So didn't have many other interruptions. And we got it off the ground. I mean, production values are what they are, right? When you're doing a live thing, it's all very immediate. Really am grateful for anyone who's willing to talk to me. That's sad, isn't it? Well, I don't know if it's sad or not. Ooh, somebody's on one of those headsets. Just passed a guy with a stroller, little baby, conked out. I can't blame them because honestly, it's hot out here. Easy to be conked out. Countdowns with me. Whew. It's not for the faint-hearted being out here in the heat. Years ago, it was May 3rd, 2007 to be precise. I was walking on the other side of this street, passing all these little townhouses here. And I knew that my date at the time, Lynn Bush, daughter of George W. Bush of Latrobe, Pennsylvania, not the other one. And Lynn was at the time associate director of human resources at the Academy for Educational Development. And I'd met her down at Bedazzled because she had a bead business, making jewelry. And she called her little outfit Hanging by a Thread. It was lovely. And there's a lot of beauty in the world. Well, we were walking by these townhouses. I knew that Lynn had a townhouse somewhere up near Laurel, Maryland or something. I asked her, but they were like these. And she said, no, not exactly. They were newer. And it's true. We just sold it last fall. My employment came to an end and it was time to let it go. Our country estate, I was calling it. She had bought it in 2004, I think. They were around 2003, October. In fact, right about the time Hurricane Isabel had passed through, and I had been just coming back from Europe as it was arriving. I was gone over there for a short visit. I got some stories there, but suffice to say, as we walked by these, I thought Lynn lived somewhere closer to D.C. than she does, just outside but no, she lived much further out, about 18 miles away. I wasn't looking for a date with anybody from 18 miles away, but it worked out really well. Her colleagues had done her profile for her, and therefore I was attracted to how they saw her versus how she might have seen herself hanging by a thread, right? We ended up deciding after our walking date at taking us this far to check out St. X's. She got some calamari, not realizing it would not be fried. And it was not her favorite thing to eat squid like that with the tentacles and all. So there it went. She went for a second date anyway. I was telling her largely about a play I'd seen, a production of Titus Andronicus. You know what? I don't want to cross this street. Not at all. Let's go to Trader Joe's. We'll probably wrap up so I can shop. Conquest of Abundance, folks. Whole fire oven. If you don't know it, look it up. Lupo Pizzeria. There's my destination. I'm going to get to cool off for a little while. Hopefully, I'm getting this shock because I find going heat cold has been bad for me in the past. Hear all about it in one of my interviews. Okay. Cool. It's cool. I gotta cut this to check for possibility. I think we need bananas personally. Lynn didn't ask for bananas, but I think we need them. So get some. I don't know what it's bananas. The regular ones from Ecuador. Must got something else from Ecuador one time. We go into that later. I'm not sure. I'm more excited about it. Peppers. Oh, peppers. Yes, I need here. Blueberries. I think kale slaw. I liked that for a while. Christmas crunch. Air Not going to make soup. It's too hot. a split a spaghetti squash blend later. Let's see if we've got. Yes, we do. We have my favorite kind. Cheddar. A couple of those. English coastal cheddar. That's my favorite. What else we gotta get? Nope, nope, nope. We need milk. Oh, that means I'm gonna have to cut Bassett show because I'm gonna need two hands. And I can't do this with two hands occupied. So thanks for joining me, Dad. That's a rarity.